Listen up, black boy. Your mama cleans my toilets, so fixing broken things must be in your DNA. Richard Van Doren, millionaire venture capitalist, towers over 10-year-old Finn Foster in the Apex Innovations parking lot. Friday morning, Austin, Texas. Richard's $320,000 Ferrari just died at the executive entrance. He spots Finn on the curb with a toolbox, waiting for his mother to finish cleaning inside. The boy wears second-hand clothes and holds a robot built from junk. Richard throws his head back and laughs. Loud, cruel, performative. The kind of laugh designed to humiliate. Then he yanks out his Ferrari keys and hurls them at Finn's feet like tossing scraps to a dog. Fix my Ferrari in 30 seconds, I'll give it to you. Get your cleaning lady mama out of Section 8. His laughter echoes across the lot. Phones rise. A crowd gathers. When you fail, you both leave. Finn stares at the keys in the dirt. Richard keeps laughing. He doesn't know he just challenged a genius who already solved this problem. In 30 seconds, that laughter dies. In 30 seconds, his face goes ghost white. Keep watching. The keys hit the ground with a metallic clink that echoes across the parking lot. Finn Foster doesn't move. His eyes stay locked on Richard Van Doren's face, the kind of face that's never heard the word no in its entire privileged life. Richard checks his Rolex, still chuckling to himself. Clock starts when you pick up those keys, boy. 30 seconds. Not 31, not 29.5, 30. Another laugh, sharp and ugly. The crowd has grown to maybe 15 people now. Employees heading into Apex Innovations for the morning shift. A couple of executives who arrived with Richard. Miguel Rodriguez, the security guard, standing 20 feet away with his hand on his radio like he wants to intervene but doesn't know how. One of the executives, a guy in his 30s named Brad Kellerman, laughs along with Richard and pulls out his phone. Richard, come on, he's just a kid. A kid who's about to learn an important lesson about knowing his place. Richard grins, enjoying himself immensely. Right, boy? Finn's jaw tightens. His small hands curl into fists on top of the robot in his lap. A crude thing made from old circuit boards and salvaged motors that somehow moves and responds to simple commands. It's the kind of project that would impress a high school robotics teacher. For a 10-year-old working alone with scraps, it's extraordinary. But Richard doesn't see that. Richard sees junk held by a kid who doesn't belong here. What's wrong? Richard's voice drips with mock concern. He laughs again, that same cruel sound. 30 seconds too complicated? Maybe you need a YouTube tutorial first? He turns to Brad. See, this is what happens when HR forces diversity quotas on real companies. We get kids who can't even... I'll do it. Finn's voice is small but clear. He stands up, leaving the robot on the curb. His legs feel shaky, but he forces them steady. He's 4 feet 8 inches tall in shoes that are half a size too small because they were on clearance, and his mom couldn't afford his actual size. Richard blinks, genuinely surprised. Then he starts laughing again, harder this time. What? I'll fix your car. Finn bends down and picks up the keys from the dirt. His fingers are trembling, but not from fear anymore. From something else. Something that's been building in his chest since his father died 4 years ago, and the world decided a black kid from the South Side didn't deserve a fair shot at anything. Richard's laughter gets louder, drawing more attention. Well, look at that, Brad. The boy's got some spine. He leans down until he's at Finn's eye level. Close enough that Finn can smell coffee and expensive aftershave. Okay, here's the updated deal. Here's the, you fix my Ferrari in 30 seconds and I'll personally fund your education. Full ride. Anywhere you want. Someone in the crowd murmurs appreciation. Maybe Richard's not such a bad guy after all. Maybe this is just his weird way of helping. But then Richard's voice drops lower, meant only for Finn. But when you fail, and you will fail. You apologize to everyone here for wasting our time, and then you go inside, find your cleaning lady mama, and you both turn in her ID badge and leave. She's done here. Understood? The crowd doesn't hear this part. The phones don't pick it up. It's just Richard and Finn, millionaire and child, white and black, power and powerlessness. Except Finn isn't powerless. Not completely. Not yet. When I fix it, Finn says quietly, you fund 10 scholarships every year. For 10 years. For kids like me. Richard's eyebrows shoot up. Then he laughs so hard he has to wipe his eyes. Oh, this is good. The kid's negotiating. He straightens up and addresses the crowd, still laughing. Everyone hear that? When, not if, when this 10-year-old fixes a Ferrari 296 GTB that 3 certified technicians couldn't diagnose, I'll fund 10 full-ride scholarships annually for a decade. That's my word. He extends his hand for a shake. Finn looks at it for a long moment before taking it. Richard's grip is crushing, meant to intimidate. Finn holds on anyway. Deal, Richard says, grinning like he's already won. Brad, start the timer when I say go. Brad opens his phone's stopwatch app, thumb hovering over the screen. He's smiling too, enjoying the show. And that's when Miguel's radio crackles. A voice. Miguel, is there a situation in Executive Lot B? We're getting reports of a crowd. Miguel hesitates, then keys his radio. No situation, just some people talking. Copy that. Keep an eye on it. Miguel clips the radio back to his belt and watches Finn with an expression that's hard to read. He's seen this kid before, 5 times in the past 2 weeks. Always sitting quietly by himself, never causing problems. Always reading books way above his grade level or tinkering with electronics. Miguel's daughter is about the same age. He knows what a bright kid looks like. He also knows what cruelty looks like. And Richard Van Doren is demonstrating it with expert precision, punctuated by that awful laugh. Ready, boy? Richard asks, still grinning. Finn nods. He walks toward the Ferrari, and as he does, his mind automatically catalogs what he's seeing. The car is a 296 GTB. He knows this because 3 weeks ago, an identical model showed up at Sal's Auto Salvage, where Finn spends his weekends. That one had been in a minor accident, totaled by insurance to avoid expensive repairs, and Finn had spent 2 full days exploring every inch of its hybrid V6 system. He knows this car, not this specific one, but the DNA of it, the architecture, the weak points. The crowd parts as Finn approaches. Someone whispers, "Is this for real?" Another voice, "This is insane." Richard laughs again and checks his watch. Whenever you're ready. Though I should warn you, this car has been to Ferrari of Austin twice. $6,000 in diagnostic fees. They found nothing. So unless you've got some kind of magical... Go, Finn says. Brad's thumb hits the screen. Timer started. 30 seconds. Richard crosses his arms, smirking, confident this will be over in seconds when the kid breaks down crying. And the parking lot falls completely silent except for the ambient hum of traffic on the distant highway and the tick, tick, tick of the Ferrari's cooling engine. Finn doesn't go for the hood like everyone expects. Instead, he walks to the driver's side door, opens it, and slides into the seat. His feet barely reach the pedals. He inserts the key fob and turns it to ACC mode. Accessory, not full ignition. Richard snorts with amusement. What's he doing? The dashboard lights up. A Christmas tree of warning indicators. 43 error codes spanning fuel injection, hybrid battery management, transmission sync, and emissions control. But Finn isn't looking at the dashboard. He's listening. He closes his eyes. Richard watches with a condescending smile, waiting for the inevitable tears. And there it is. Beneath the normal electrical hum, beneath the cooling fans, there's a clicking sound. Arrhythmic. Inconsistent. Once, every 2.3 seconds, coming from somewhere behind and below him. His eyes snap open. 15 seconds, Brad calls out. Finn exits the car and moves to the rear. The 296 GTB is a mid-engine design, which means the V6 and electric motor are behind the passenger compartment. Most people don't know that. Most people would be looking under the front hood. Finn pops the rear hood. The hybrid powertrain gleams in the morning sun, a masterwork of engineering that costs more than most people's houses. 10 seconds! Brad's voice rises with anticipation. Richard laughs again, louder. Brad, I think he's just looking at shiny parts back there. His hands move with practiced speed. He pulls out the mini multimeter from his pocket, the one tool he always carries, a gift from his father years ago. He places the leads on the electromagnetic coupling actuator sensor, a small component where the gas engine meets the electric motor. The voltage reading fluctuates. 0.02 volts up and down, arrhythmic, exactly matching the clicking pattern. 5 seconds. The crowd leans in. Finn traces the wire to a small plastic clip. Under magnification, you'd see it clearly. With the naked eye, you have to know what you're looking for. The clip is fractured. Heat stress, manufacturing defect. He doesn't have a replacement, but he has something better. Knowledge. Finn pulls a wire tie from his toolkit, the same kind he uses to manage cables in his robot builds. He removes the fractured sensor clip entirely and uses the wire tie to bypass the sensor's mechanical connection. Then, muscle memory from watching a YouTube video 3 weeks ago, he accesses the Ferrari's service mode, brake pedal, gas pedal, steering wheel button sequence. The hidden diagnostic menu appears. Manual actuator recalibration. Confirm. Reset. 3, 2, 1. Finn slams the rear hood and calls out, "Start it!" Brad's thumb hovers over the stop button. Time. 30 seconds exactly, Brad says, voice filled with disbelief. Richard's laugh dies in his throat. He's standing there with his arms crossed, face already starting to show concern because he can see in Finn's body language, the confidence, the certainty that something just happened. Well? Richard's voice is sharp, the amusement gone. Start what? You didn't fix anything. You just played around back there. Finn walks to the driver's door, leans in, and turns the key. The Ferrari roars to life. Not the stuttering, coughing start it's been doing for 6 weeks. A smooth, perfect, powerful ignition. The engine note is flawless, the distinctive V6 howl that makes Ferrari enthusiasts weep. Every single warning light on the dashboard is dark. The parking lot goes dead silent except for that perfect engine purr. And then, someone in the crowd whispers, "Oh my God, look at his face." Richard Van Doren stands frozen 10 feet from his car. His face, so smug and confident 30 seconds ago, twisted with cruel laughter, has completely drained of color. The expensive tan from weekend golf trips can't hide it. He's gone pale as old paper, mouth hanging open, eyes wide with shock and dawning horror. Because he just lost a bet to a 10-year-old black child in front of a dozen witnesses with their phones out. His face has gone from flushed with laughter to ghost white in the span of a heartbeat. The crowd sees it. The phones capture it. This exact moment, Richard's face turning the color of chalk, all arrogance evaporating, replaced by pure disbelief, will be screenshot and memed across the internet for months. Brad stares at his phone like the timer is lying to him. He actually... One of the other executives whispers, "Holy shit. He's pale as a ghost." Miguel takes a step forward, hand dropping from his radio, eyes wide, watching Richard's face go from white to a sickly gray. Someone in the crowd starts to laugh. Not cruel like Richard's laugh, but amazed, delighted laughter. Someone else joins in. Then another. Richard's mouth opens, closes, opens again. No sound comes out. His face stays that awful pale color. And Finn Foster, 10 years old, black, son of a cleaning woman and a dead mechanic, wearing second-hand clothes and shoes that don't fit, stands next to a $320,000 Ferrari that's now running perfectly, and says in a voice that doesn't shake anymore, "It's fixed, sir. It's fixed." Richard doesn't respond. He just stands there, face drained white. The laughter that filled the parking lot minutes ago, now a memory that will haunt him forever. If you're watching this and your heart is pounding, drop a comment right now, because what's about to happen next is even better. But first, you need to understand where a 10-year-old learned to do what 3 master technicians couldn't. And that story starts 7 years ago, in a salvage yard, with a father who taught his son that engines don't lie. The Ferrari's engine purrs in the silence. Perfect. Flawless. Impossible. Finn stands there with his hand still on the door, and for just a moment, time seems to slow. The crowd blurs. Richard's pale face fades. The sound of the engine becomes something else. Another engine from another time, in another place. 7 years ago. Summer of 2018. Finn is 3 years old. His father, James Foster, lifts him onto his shoulders and carries him through rows of broken cars at Sal's Auto Salvage on the south side of Austin. The sun is brutal. The air smells like motor oil and rust and possibility. "Close your eyes, Finn," his father says. "Tell Daddy what you hear." Little Finn closes his eyes. At first, it's just noise, chaos, the clang of metal on metal, the hiss of welding torches, men shouting about parts and prices. But James is patient. Listen deeper, past the noise. What's underneath? And slowly, Finn starts to hear it. The rhythm, the patterns, the language that machines speak when humans stop talking long enough to listen. James teaches him to distinguish sounds. A healthy engine purr versus a struggling knock. Smooth belt rotation versus squealing friction. Clean ignition versus misfiring cylinders. This becomes their Saturday ritual. Every weekend, James brings Finn to the salvage yard and teaches him to listen, to understand, to diagnose by sound alone what most mechanics need computers to find. "Engines don't lie, son," James tells him over and over. "People lie. Politicians lie. Computers can be wrong. But an engine tells you exactly what's broken if you just listen." Finn is 6 years old when he witnesses the moment that changes everything. March 2021, a Saturday morning. A woman drives her BMW X5 into Sal's salvage yard, tears streaming down her face. Every mechanic she's taken it to says the same thing. Engine blown, needs full replacement, $18,000. She's a single mother. She can't afford it. Without the car, she loses her job. Without her job, she loses everything. James spends 20 minutes just listening to the engine. Finn stands beside him, small hand gripping his father's calloused fingers. "What do you hear, son?" James asks. Finn closes his eyes like he's been taught. "It sounds scared, Daddy. Like it's trying to talk, but nobody's listening." James smiles. "Exactly right. The problem isn't a blown engine. It's a $40 oxygen sensor and a loose ground wire. Total fix, $60 and 45 minutes of labor." The woman breaks down crying, but this time from relief, from gratitude, from the overwhelming grace of someone actually listening instead of just trying to make money off her desperation. After she drives away, James kneels down to Finn's eye level in the dust and oil of the salvage yard. "You see what just happened?" His voice is gentle but firm. "That lady was going to lose everything because people stopped listening. Rich folks can afford to replace whole engines. Poor folks need someone who actually listens to find the real problem. You understand?" Finn nods, even though he's only 6 and doesn't fully grasp the weight of what his father is teaching him. "Engines don't lie, son. They tell you exactly what's wrong, but you gotta listen. And when you find the truth, you speak it, even if people don't want to hear it. Especially then." James puts his hands on Finn's shoulders. "Can you remember that?" "Yes, sir." Say it back to me. Listen first. Fix what's actually broken. Speak truth to power. James hugs him tight, smelling like motor oil and sweat and safety. 6 months later, James Foster is dead. September 2021. Industrial accident at a factory where James took a second job for better insurance. A hydraulic press with a faulty pressure sensor. The sensor had been clicking for weeks. Workers reported it. Maintenance ignored it because the computer showed no error codes. The sensor failed catastrophically. James was 29 years old. The bitter irony isn't lost on 6-year-old Finn, even through his grief. The exact thing his father taught him. Listen to what machines tell you, even when computers say everything's fine, could have saved his father's life. But nobody listened. 1 week after the funeral, Sal Martinez finds Finn sitting alone inside an old car at the salvage yard, holding his father's toolbox. "Hey, kiddo," Sal says gently. "You okay?" Finn doesn't cry. His voice is flat, empty. "Daddy said engines don't lie. People didn't listen. Now he's gone." Sal's heart breaks. Finn looks up with eyes too old for a 6-year-old face. "I'm gonna listen. To every engine, every machine, so this doesn't happen to other kids' dads." From age 6 to 10, Finn becomes a fixture at the salvage yard. Sal lets him explore, learn, practice. The library becomes his second home, mechanical engineering books way above his grade level. YouTube becomes his teacher, repair tutorials watched and rewatched until memorized. By age 10, Finn Foster can diagnose most common car problems by sound alone, faster and more accurately than mechanics with 20 years of experience. His motto, refined through grief and determination: listen first, fix what's actually broken, speak truth to power. And on this Friday morning in an Apex Innovations parking lot, standing next to a perfectly running Ferrari while a millionaire's face is still drained of color from shock, Finn is about to do exactly that. The Ferrari's engine idles perfectly. Richard Van Doren's face is still that awful pale color, like someone drained all the blood from his head. He blinks rapidly, trying to process what just happened. "You." Richard's voice cracks. He clears his throat, some color slowly returning to his cheeks, but not much. "You just got lucky. Reset some codes. Watch it fail again in 5 minutes." Finn turns to face him. The electromagnetic coupling actuator sensor was fractured. It's a batch defect in 296 GTBs manufactured between March and June of last year. The broken sensor created cascade failure across 4 integrated systems. I bypassed the sensor and manually recalibrated the actuator. It's fixed for now, but you should replace the sensor clip within 500 miles. The parking lot is so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Brad Kellerman's phone is still recording. His jaw hangs open. Did he just... How does a 10-year-old... One of the other executives whispers, "There's no way. The dealerships had that car for days." "The dealerships used Ferrari's diagnostic software," Finn says, his voice steady now, growing stronger with each word. "The software has a blind spot for intermittent coupling sensor failures. It's not programmed to detect that specific failure pattern." Richard's face cycles through confusion, disbelief, embarrassment, and finally settles on anger. Red color flooding back into his previously pale cheeks, but it's rage now, not smugness. The humiliation of having his face drain white in front of everyone, captured on a dozen phones, fuels his fury. "Okay, parking lot mechanic, you got lucky once. But real engineering requires more than YouTube tricks." He checks his Rolex, trying to regain control. 9:06 a.m. His board meeting starts at 10. An idea forms in Richard's mind. A way to regain control. To put this uppity black kid back in his place. To make people forget that moment when his face went ghost white. "Here's what we're going to do," Richard announces loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Apex Innovations has a board meeting in 54 minutes. We're presenting our automotive AI division, robots that diagnose and repair vehicles autonomously. If you're such a genius, come present to our board. Explain to a room full of PhDs and investors how a 10-year-old fixed what professional technicians couldn't. The trap is obvious to everyone except Finn. Richard knows a child can't possibly present to board-level executives. Even if Finn is smart, he'll be terrified. He'll freeze. He'll fumble. And when he fails, Richard can dismiss the parking lot moment as beginner's luck and restore his reputation. Make people forget his pale, shocked face. Miguel takes a step forward. Richard, he's 10 years old. And I was 10 once, Richard cuts him off. If he's smart enough to fix a Ferrari, he's smart enough to explain it to adults. Or was it just luck? He looks directly at Finn, desperate to regain the upper hand. What do you say, boy? You want those scholarships? Earn them. Come present to the board. Brad Kellerman grins, recovered from his shock. Yeah, come on, kid. Show us your genius. Finn looks at the crowd. At Miguel, who's shaking his head slightly. Don't do it, kid. At the phones, still recording. At Richard's face, no longer pale but flushed with angry determination. Then Finn thinks about his mother inside the building, scrubbing toilets for minimum wage, working 3 jobs just to keep them fed. He thinks about his father's voice. Speak truth to power. I'll do it, Finn says. Richard's smile widens. Excellent. Conference room A, 9:45 sharp. He glances at Finn's worn clothes with barely concealed contempt. Dress code is business casual, but I suppose that t-shirt will have to do. Cruel laughter from Brad. Miguel moves quickly, pulling Finn aside as the crowd begins to disperse. Kid, you don't have to do this. That man is setting you up to fail. I know, Finn says quietly. Then why? Because he made a bet. 10 scholarships, every year, for 10 years. That's 100 kids who get a chance. I can't walk away from that. Miguel looks at this 10-year-old boy with the weight of the world on his shoulders and makes a decision. Come with me. You need data from that car? Finn nods. I got a laptop in the security office. Let's go. 9:10 a.m., security office. Finn plugs his OBD2 scanner into Miguel's laptop and connects it to the Ferrari. He pulls the complete ECU diagnostic log, all 43 error codes, voltage fluctuation data, historical sensor readings going back 6 weeks. The door bursts open. Sarah Foster stands there, face stricken with panic. Baby, what's going on? She's still wearing her cleaning uniform, yellow rubber gloves, hairnet. Security called me, said you're presenting to executives? Finn explains quickly. The bet, the fix, the challenge. Sarah's eyes fill with tears. Finn, these are powerful people. They're going to try to make you look stupid. Mama, I know what I'm doing. Finn takes her hand. This could change things for us. Sarah looks at her son, her brilliant, brave, beautiful son who's had to grow up too fast, who's had to be the man of the house since he was 6, who carries his father's dreams on his narrow shoulders. She kneels down and cups his face in her hands. Your daddy would be so proud of you right now. She kisses his forehead. Go show them what foster men are made of. 9:20 a.m. Finn has 40 minutes to prepare a presentation for people who've spent decades in automotive engineering. He uses Miguel's laptop to create something simple. Slide 1. What was wrong? List of 43 error codes. Slide 2. What everyone missed. Diagram of coupling sensor. Slide 3. The real problem. Illustration of fractured clip slide. 4. The fix. Step-by-step explanation. Slide. 5. Why it matters. Batch defect implications. His hands shake while typing. He's never done anything like this. He's 10 years old. He should be playing video games or riding bikes, not preparing to face down a boardroom of millionaires. Miguel watches him work and sees the fear in those young eyes. Hey, Miguel says gently. Look at me. Finn looks up. You already did the hard part. You fixed the car. You made that man's face go white in front of everyone. Now you just gotta tell them how. That's it. Just tell them what you did. Miguel puts a hand on Finn's shoulder. You got this, little man. Finn nods, not entirely convinced, and saves the presentation to a USB drive. 9:42 a.m. Miguel walks Finn through the gleaming hallways of Apex Innovations. They pass walls covered with photos of innovation leaders, all white or Asian men in expensive suits, all looking like they've never missed a meal or worried about rent. Finn has never felt more out of place in his life. They reach Conference Room A. Through the glass walls, Finn can see them. 12 people around a long table. Richard at the head, looking supremely confident again, his momentary pallor forgotten, or so he hopes. Brad in the corner with his laptop. And at the far end, a woman Finn doesn't recognize, Dr. Rebecca Anderson, Chief Innovation Officer, watching the door with sharp, intelligent eyes. 9:44 a.m. Finn takes a deep breath, remembers his father's voice. Speak truth to power. 9:45 exactly. Finn opens the door. Every head turns toward him. Richard's voice booms across the room. Everyone, our special guest has arrived. Meet... Sorry, kid, what's your name again? Finn Foster, sir. His voice sounds so small in this big room. Finn Foster, everyone. 10 years old, son of our cleaning staff, and apparently a Ferrari repair expert. Richard's tone drips with sarcasm. He's going to teach us about automotive engineering. Muted chuckles around the table. Brad smirks. A couple of board members exchange amused glances, but Dr. Rebecca Anderson doesn't laugh. She leans forward in her chair and says in a voice that cuts through the condescension, Mr. Van Doren, let's give the boy a chance to speak. Finn, please, come sit. She gestures to an empty chair at the table. Not a kid's chair, not a chair against the wall, but a seat at the actual table, treating him as an equal. Finn walks to the chair on legs that feel like water. He inserts his USB drive into the presentation system with hands that won't stop shaking. 12 pairs of eyes watching him. 11 white faces. 1 woman. All of them in suits that cost more than his mother makes in a month. Richard leans back in his chair, arms crossed, smile playing at his lips. He thinks he's already won. He thinks people will forget how pale his face went in that parking lot. He has no idea what's about to hit him. Finn takes a breath. His finger hovers over the keyboard to advance his first slide. The room waits. He remembers his father's words one more time. Speak truth to power. Good morning, Finn begins. His voice cracks a little. He clears his throat. 35 minutes ago, I diagnosed and temporarily fixed a Ferrari 296 GTB that 3 certified mechanics couldn't fix. This is how I did it. He clicks to slide 1. The screen fills with a list of 43 error codes pulled directly from Richard's Ferrari. Fuel injection timing, hybrid battery management, transmission synchronization, emissions control. The codes span every major system in the vehicle. Mr. Van Doren's car had 43 error codes, Finn explains. They showed up across different systems. The dealerships thought these were separate problems. They weren't. An older board member, silver hair, expensive suit, skeptical expression, interrupts. How could you possibly know they weren't separate issues? Finn meets his eyes. Because of the pattern, sir. The codes appeared at the same time intervals, every 2.3 seconds. That's too precise to be random. It meant one thing was breaking and making everything else look broken. Dr. Anderson leans forward, suddenly very interested. Go on. Slide 2. A simple diagram Finn drew in Miguel's office. A V6 engine, an electric motor, and between them, a small component labeled electromagnetic coupling actuator. This is a hybrid car, Finn continues, his voice getting steadier as he falls into the technical explanation. It has a gas engine and an electric motor. They work together through this part. He points to the coupling actuator on screen. There's a sensor here that tells the car's computer when the two motors are synchronized. He pauses, then uses the metaphor he prepared. Think of it like two kids on a seesaw. The sensor is like someone in the middle telling them when to push. If that person stops talking, the kids get confused, push at wrong times, and the seesaw doesn't work right. That's what happened to Mr. Van Doren's car. A woman board member, 50s, sharp eyes, investor type, asks, "But why didn't Ferrari's diagnostic system catch that?" This is the key question, the one that separates lucky guess from actual expertise. Because the sensor wasn't completely broken, Finn explains. It was cracked. So sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. The car's computer couldn't tell if the sensor was broken or if the actual motors were broken. So it guessed everything was broken and showed 43 error codes. He clicks to show the voltage data graph he pulled from the Ferrari's computer. This is the voltage reading from the sensor. See how it jumps up and down? His finger traces the irregular pattern on screen. That's not supposed to happen. A good sensor stays flat. This meant the sensor had a crack that opened and closed with heat and vibration. Dr. George Matthews, a board member who used to be a lead engineer at General Motors, though Finn doesn't know this, sits up straighter in his chair. That's impressive diagnostic logic, son. But how did you isolate the coupling actuator so quickly? There are hundreds of components in that engine bay. Finn looks directly at him. I listened, sir. The room goes quiet. When I turned the car to accessory mode, I heard clicking. Every 2.3 seconds. Electromagnetic actuators make a specific sound when they're failing intermittently. Finn's voice carries the certainty of someone who knows exactly what he's talking about. My dad taught me to listen to engines. So I listened, found where the sound came from, and checked that part first. Dr. Matthews exhales slowly. Acoustic diagnostic analysis. That's old-school master mechanic technique. We've almost lost that skill in the modern era of digital diagnostics. He looks at Finn with new respect. Where did you learn that? My father, sir. He was a mechanic at Sal's Auto Salvage. He taught me that engines communicate through sound and vibration if you know how to listen. Richard shifts in his chair, uncomfortable with how seriously the board is taking this. So you heard a noise and made a lucky guess. Finn turns to face him directly. No, sir. I heard a noise, understood what it meant, confirmed it with a multimeter test, identified the broken part, and fixed it. And that's not luck. That's diagnosis. Another board member asks, what was your actual fix? That's my second point, sir. Finn clicks to slide 3. The screen shows his hand-drawn diagram of the sensor bypass, simple but technically accurate. My fix in the parking lot was temporary, Finn admits. It'll work for a few hundred miles, but it's not the right solution. I want to be honest about that. Richard pounces. So you didn't actually fix it? I fixed the symptom, sir, but Mr. Van Doren needs to fix the cause. Finn doesn't back down. The sensor has a clip made of plastic. The plastic can't handle the heat from the hybrid system. After a few months, it cracks. When it cracks, it creates false error codes. Dr. Anderson's eyes narrow with interest. And your temporary fix? I bypassed the sensor and manually recalibrated the coupling actuator using the Ferrari service mode. That makes the car work, but it doesn't solve why the sensor broke. The right fix is to replace the clip with a better material, metal instead of plastic, and update the car's computer to detect this kind of failure pattern. He takes a breath. This next part is risky, but it's the truth. This isn't just Mr. Van Doren's car, Finn says. I think this is a manufacturing defect that affects a lot of 296 GTBs. Audible gasps around the table. Richard's face flushes red again, not pale this time, but angry. That's a serious accusation. How could you possibly know that? Slide 4. Screenshots from Ferrari owner forums that Finn found online during his preparation time. I found these this morning, sir. 8 documented cases of identical symptoms. All 296 GTBs manufactured between March and June 2024. All unsolved by dealerships. Finn points to each screenshot in turn. Same error codes, same time period. And 3 weeks ago, I saw another 296 GTB with the exact same problem at the salvage yard where my dad used to work. That's how I knew what to look for today. Dr. Matthews actually stands up. Wait, you're saying Ferrari has a systematic design or manufacturing defect affecting potentially hundreds of vehicles, and their diagnostic system is programmed in a way that prevents technicians from finding it? Yes, sir. The investor woman looks alarmed. If that's true, this could be a major liability issue for Ferrari. A recall could cost them millions. I wrote everything down, Finn says. If Mr. Van Doren wants, he can send my report to Ferrari's engineering division. They could fix this for everyone, not just him. Richard's face has gone from red to a sickly pale again. The realization hitting him that this black child he humiliated in public just diagnosed a problem Ferrari's own engineers missed. Finn potentially saved Richard from a catastrophic failure down the road. And Finn is offering this information freely, asking for nothing except scholarships for other kids. Richard severely, catastrophically underestimated this child, and everyone in the room can see it on his face, that pale, shocked expression returning. Dr. Anderson watches Richard's face change color again with barely concealed satisfaction. Then she turns to Finn. This is remarkable work, Finn. But Mr. Van Doren brought you here to discuss Apex Innovations' automotive AI division. How does your diagnostic approach relate to autonomous repair systems? This is the real test. Can a 10-year-old connect his parking lot fix to cutting-edge AI development? The room waits. Finn clicks to his final slide. What robots can't do yet. Apex Innovations is building robots that can fix cars by themselves, Finn begins. That's really cool, but there's a problem. One of the investors, a man in his 50s with a patronizing smile, asks, "And what problem is that, young man?" Finn looks right at him. They can't listen. Pause. Right now, AI robots use cameras to see problems, and they read diagnostic codes from computers. But what if the codes are wrong? What if the computer is looking at the wrong thing, like with Mr. Van Doren's car? He's gaining confidence now, voice getting stronger. My dad used to say the best mechanics can hear what's wrong, but robots don't have ears. Not like that. They can't hear the difference between a healthy engine and a sick one, so they miss things. Dr. Anderson's eyes are locked on him. Are you suggesting we integrate acoustic sensors into our diagnostic AI? Yes, ma'am! The enthusiasm breaks through now, genuine 10-year-old excitement about a cool idea. Robots could have microphones that listen to engines, just like mechanics do. And computers are really good at finding patterns. So if you recorded thousands of engine sounds, healthy ones and broken ones, the AI could learn to hear the difference. He tries to make it relatable. It's like, you know how Siri or Alexa can recognize your voice? The AI could do that with engines. Learn what each part sounds like when it's working right, and what it sounds like when it's breaking. Then it could catch problems before they become big problems. Dr. Matthews is nodding slowly. Multisensory diagnostic integration. We've been so focused on visual recognition, cameras identifying parts, that we haven't considered acoustic pattern analysis. Finn presses on. And there's more. The AI could also read internet forums, like where I found the Ferrari problem. Real people talking about real problems. That's information the car companies don't always share, but it's out there. If the AI learned from that, it could find patterns even faster. His vision crystallizes. Imagine someone brings their car to a repair shop. The robot listens to the engine for 30 seconds, checks the diagnostic codes, searches the internet for similar cases, and finds the real problem right away. No guessing. No replacing parts that aren't broken, just the actual fix. He looks directly at Richard, whose face is still that pale color. Mr. Van Doren's car would have been fixed 6 weeks ago instead of going to 3 dealerships and costing him thousands of dollars in diagnostic fees. Dr. Anderson stands slowly. The room's energy shifts. "Finn," she says carefully, "what you've just described is precisely the gap in our current autonomous repair system development. We have visual recognition. We have robotic dexterity. We have access to manufacturer databases. But we don't have acoustic analysis or real-time crowdsourced problem data integration." Dr. Matthews adds, "In 30 years of automotive engineering, we always said the best mechanics had a sixth sense. But it wasn't magic. It was pattern recognition across multiple sensory inputs. This young man just articulated what we should have been building all along." The CFO, a woman in her 40s, looks at Finn with something like wonder. "How old are you?" 10, ma'am." She turns to Richard, whose face is still drained of color. "Richard, you brought a 10-year-old child into this meeting expecting to humiliate him. Instead, he just outlined a research direction that could be worth tens of millions in intellectual property development." The silence that follows is deafening. Richard Van Doren has no response. His mouth opens, closes. His face stays that awful pale shade. Nothing comes out. And Finn Foster, 10 years old, black, son of a cleaning woman and a dead mechanic, wearing a $5 t-shirt from Walmart, has just changed the entire direction of a $50 million AI research program. Dr. Anderson lets the silence hang for exactly 3 seconds. Then she speaks with the authority of someone who's run research divisions for 2 decades. "Mr. Van Doren, I believe we need to verify Finn's diagnostic findings. If there truly is a systematic defect, as he suggests, it could fundamentally inform our AI development roadmap. Would you consent to having our senior automotive engineer examine your vehicle?" Richard's trapped. The whole board is watching. Brad's phone is still recording. Richard's face is still that pale, shocked color. "The car works fine now. It's not necessary. It will take 20 minutes. Dr. Anderson's tone makes it clear this isn't a request. "We have time before the funding vote." Richard nods stiffly, his face slowly regaining some color, but not much. Dr. Anderson picks up the conference room phone and calls down to engineering. "Thomas, please come to conference room A immediately. Bring your diagnostic kit." 3 minutes later, Thomas Bradley enters, 45 years old, senior automotive engineer, 20 years of experience, skeptical expression. Dr. Anderson briefs him quickly. "Thomas, please take a diagnostic team to Mr. Van Doren's Ferrari in Executive Lot B. Full systems analysis. Focus on the hybrid coupling actuator. Finn will accompany you to show you his findings." 10:05 a.m. Parking lot. Thomas, 2 junior engineers, and Finn stand around the Ferrari. The crowd from earlier has mostly dispersed, but Miguel watches from a distance, phone ready to capture more footage if needed. "Okay, Finn," Thomas says, kind but skeptical. "Show me what you found." Finn walks him through it step by step. First, the acoustic signature. He makes Thomas turn the car to accessory mode and listen. Thomas's eyebrows rise when he hears the arrhythmic clicking. Second, the multimeter reading. Thomas tests it himself. Voltage fluctuating 0.02 V, exactly as Finn described. Third, the physical inspection. Thomas pulls out a magnifying glass and examines the sensor clip. Under magnification, the fracture is clearly visible. "Well, I'll be damned," Thomas mutters. He runs a full OBD2 diagnostic, confirms the 43 error codes in the historical log, examines Finn's bypass fix, crude but mechanically sound, pulls the manufacturing date from the VIN, March 2024 batch. Checks Ferrari technical service bulletins. No official acknowledgement of this defect. Thomas reviews the ECU historical data on his laptop. The intermittent failure pattern is right there, developing over 6 weeks, exactly as Finn said. He looks at Finn with an expression somewhere between amazement and disbelief. "How did you learn to do this?" "My dad taught me," Finn says quietly, "and I practiced a lot." "Your dad must be one hell of a mechanic." "He was, sir. He died when I was 6. Thomas is quiet for a moment. Then he puts his hand on Finn's shoulder. "He'd be real proud of you right now, son." 10:30 a.m. Conference Room A. Thomas returns with his team and Finn. The board is waiting, tension thick in the air. Richard sits at the table, face still showing traces of that earlier pallor. "Dr. Anderson, board members." Thomas connects his laptop to the presentation screen. "I've completed the analysis. Finn's diagnostic findings are entirely accurate." He projects images, microscope photo of the fractured sensor clip, voltage fluctuation graph, manufacturing date confirmation, historical error code timeline. The electromagnetic coupling actuator sensor clip is fractured due to thermal stress. This created cascade failure codes across 4 integrated systems. Finn's temporary bypass is functional and mechanically sound. It'll work for roughly 500 miles before requiring proper replacement. The root cause analysis identifying this as a potential batch defect is supported by the manufacturing date and corroborating online reports. Thomas pauses for emphasis. "In 20 years as an automotive engineer, I've never seen diagnostic work this precise from someone without formal training. And certainly not from a 10-year-old child." The room is absolutely silent. Several board members look at Richard, whose face has gone pale again. The humiliation complete. Dr. Matthews asks, "Finn, where did you learn Ferrari's service mode access sequence? That's proprietary information." "YouTube video from a repair shop in Italy, sir. I watched it 3 times and memorized the button sequence." The CFO shakes her head in wonder. "You memorized a complex service mode sequence from one video?" "I remember most things I read or watch, ma'am." "Eidetic memory," Dr. Anderson says quietly. She turns to Richard, whose face looks like death warmed over. "Mr. Van Doren, you made a public wager with Finn. He fixed your vehicle in under 30 seconds, verified by our senior engineer. He then presented diagnostic findings that have significant commercial implications. What were the terms of your bet?" Richard looks like he wants to disappear into the floor. His face is the color of old newspaper. It was a joke. I didn't think. You offered 10 full-ride scholarships annually for 10 years if Finn succeeded." Dr. Anderson's voice could cut steel. "You demanded his and his mother's removal from campus if he failed. Those were your terms, recorded on multiple devices by multiple witnesses. Which outcome are we honoring?" Every board member stares at Richard. Through the glass wall, employees have gathered, watching. Some hold phones, recording. Richard's calculation is simple and brutal. If he reneges, he's publicly exposed as someone who humiliates children and breaks promises. His reputation, already damaged by the viral parking lot video showing his face draining white, will be obliterated. If he honors it, he admits total defeat to a 10-year-old black child. "Fine," Richard forces out, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'll honor it. 10 scholarships." Dr. Anderson smiles. It's not a warm smile. "Actually, Richard, I have a different proposal, Doctor." Rebecca Anderson stands, and when she speaks, everyone in the room understands that what happens next will be remembered as the moment Apex Innovations changed direction. "Finn, I've been Chief Innovation Officer at Apex Innovations for 8 years. In that time, I've interviewed hundreds of candidates for our research division. I've never encountered anyone with your combination of diagnostic intuition, pattern recognition, and systems thinking." She pauses. The room hangs on every word. I'd like to offer you a position in our youth innovation program. Finn blinks. I'm 10, ma'am. Exactly. Which is why this would be structured appropriately. Dr. Anderson outlines the offer with the precision of someone who's already thought through every detail. First, Apex Youth Innovation Fellowship. You'd work with our automotive AI team after school and weekends. Age-appropriate involvement supervised by me personally, lead consultant on the acoustic diagnostic AI integration project you just proposed. Second, full educational support. Immediate transfer to Canyon Vista STEM Academy, the top-rated public school in Austin. Full scholarship through high school. College fund of $200,000 managed in trust until you're 18. Access to Apex's technical library and workshops. Third, family support. Your mother, Sarah, would be offered a position as Apex Facilities Coordinator. $55,000 annually with full benefits. 1 job instead of 3. Family Housing Assistance Program. Fourth, the James Foster Memorial Scholarship Fund. Dr. Anderson looks directly at Richard, whose face is still pale. Mr. Van Doren has committed to 10 annual scholarships per his wager. Apex Innovations will match it. 20 full-ride scholarships annually for students from underrepresented backgrounds pursuing STEM. Named after your father. Finn's eyes fill with tears. He tries to speak but can't. Do you accept? Dr. Anderson asks gently. Can I ask my mom? Of course. Should we call her up? 5 minutes later, Sarah Foster enters conference room A in her cleaning uniform, terrified something's wrong. When Dr. Anderson explains the offer, Sarah breaks down crying. She kneels in front of Finn. Your daddy's watching right now, baby, and he's so proud. Mother and son embrace, while a boardroom full of millionaires watches in silence. Sarah looks up at Dr. Anderson through her tears. We accept. Thank you. Thank you so much. By noon that same Friday, Miguel's parking lot video has 400,000 views. The clip is perfect. Everything captured in brutal 4K clarity. Richard's sneer, his cruel laughter echoing across the lot, the keys thrown like garbage. Listen up, black boy. The 30-second fix. And the moment everyone keeps rewatching. Richard's face draining from flushed and laughing to ghost white in the span of a heartbeat. The shock, the humiliation, perfect karma. The hashtags trend locally within hours. #Ferrari, kid, #Finn Foster. Richard goes, pale, Apex Fellowship, justice, for Finn. Comments flood in by the thousands. That moment when his face went white. I've watched it 50 times. Pure schadenfreude. He was laughing at a child, then went pale as a ghost when the child proved him wrong. This is justice. The way Richard's laugh just died. From cruel mockery to shock in 30 seconds flat. Richard Van Doren is everything wrong with venture capital and privilege. That pale face will haunt him forever. Local Austin News picks it up for the 5 o'clock broadcast. 10-year-old genius turns millionaire's face white with shock. By 6 p.m., tech blogs are running it. Watch millionaire go pale as child, he mocked fixes Ferrari. By 8 p.m., it's gone national. The video clip showing Richard's face going white becomes a meme. Richard Van Doren's phone won't stop ringing. 12:30 p.m. First board member calls, voice tight. Richard, we need to talk about optics. That video of your face going white is everywhere. 2 p.m. 3 more board members request emergency meeting. 3 p.m. His own VC firm's PR team goes into crisis mode. 5 p.m. 2 major limited partners in his fund request calls to discuss recent developments in that viral video. The comments that hurt most. Imagine being a 42-year-old millionaire with every advantage in life and getting intellectually destroyed by a 10-year-old you tried to humiliate. Your face went pale on camera. The internet is forever, Richard. That moment when his face drained white. That's what prejudice looks like when it realizes it just lost. He really laughed at a black child and his face went ghost white when proven wrong. Sir, Karma filmed in 4K is undefeated. That 2 scholarship bet is going to be the cheapest lesson in humility Richard Van Doren ever buys. Worth it just to see his face go pale. 2 weeks later, Apex Innovations holds a special board meeting. Dr. Anderson presents formal documentation. 4 previous HR complaints against Richard for discrimination and hostile behavior. The parking lot video with full context. The laughter, the humiliation, the pale face. Legal counsel's opinion, Richard's behavior created significant liability exposure for the company. The vote is called Remove Richard Van Doren from Apex Innovations Board of Directors. 11 votes in favor. 1 abstention. Richard's own proxy doesn't even vote for him. Vancorp Ventures, Richard's firm, moves swiftly. Partners request he take indefinite sabbatical. He's quietly reassigned from all active portfolio companies. His name disappears from marketing materials. His email signature changes. Industry whispers start. The Ferrari incident. The guy whose face went white. Richard isn't destroyed. He's still wealthy, still connected. He'll land somewhere, but his influence is shattered. Other VCs avoid him at conferences. Pitch events stop sending invitations. His name becomes a cautionary tale in business schools. Don't pull a Van Doren. Don't laugh at people. Your face might go pale on camera. The video follows him everywhere. 8.2 million views and climbing. That moment, his face draining white, replayed endlessly. The 10-year-old didn't destroy Richard Van Doren. Richard's own arrogance, prejudice, cruel laughter, and that captured moment of his face going pale did. Finn just held up a mirror. Meanwhile, at Apex Innovations, Dr. Anderson implements systemic changes. Finn's story should never have required public confrontation, she tells the board. We should have seen Sarah's dedication, supported their family, created pathways for hidden talent. That failure is on us. In new programs launch, employee family support with childcare assistance, mandatory bias training focusing on recognizing talent beyond traditional credentials. Youth Innovation Pipeline partnering with Title I schools. Anonymous discrimination reporting directly to the board. Not perfect, but real, measurable, funded. Finn Foster's humiliation became the catalyst that changed an entire company's culture. That's justice. 6 months later. January. Finn is 10 and a half. He's thriving at Canyon Vista STEM Academy. Straight A's. Advanced placement. Working with Apex's AI team every weekend on the acoustic diagnostic prototype. The system works. 3 previously unknown automotive defects identified in beta testing. A patent application filed with Finn listed as co-inventor. Wired magazine runs a feature. The 10-year-old who made a millionaire's face go white. Sarah Foster is facilities coordinator at Apex. 1 job. Stable hours. Better apartment. Happy tears instead of stressed ones. The James Foster Memorial Scholarship funds its first cohort. 20 students. Applications poured in by the thousands. Richard Van Doren sold his Ferrari quietly, rarely seen at events. The video has 8.2 million views. Dr. Anderson texts Finn today. Patent approved. Check your email. Finn replies, Dad would have loved this. Saturday morning, Apex Workshop. Finn works on a robot with 2 scholarship recipients. An unusual sound, a subtle click from the motor. He closes his eyes, listens, smiles. I know what that is. James Foster taught his son that engines don't lie, that truth speaks when you listen, that talent doesn't care about age, address, or skin color. Richard Van Doren learned that lesson the expensive way. His face went white with shock in front of millions. But Finn always knew it. He just needed 30 seconds to prove it. If this story moved you, it's because you've been underestimated too. Maybe not by a millionaire with a Ferrari, but by someone who judged you before knowing you. Drop a comment. What's your 30-second moment? When did you prove someone wrong and watch their face change? At exactly 2 minutes and 8 seconds, rewatch and you'll catch it. The exact moment Richard's face drains white. Frame by frame, you can see the arrogance leave his eyes. That's the detail sharp viewers keep sharing. If you believe talent deserves recognition regardless of where it comes from, subscribe now. Because there are millions of Finn Fosters out there waiting for their 30 seconds. Let's make sure they get it. Hit that subscribe button. Share this story. And remember, prejudice always loses in the end. And sometimes, the internet captures the exact moment it realizes it lost, when the face goes pale.